It is hard to exist as a functional human in this planet. Some days, you just can't seem to find any reason to get out of bed in the morning. And on your worst days, you just can't seem to do it. The feelings of uselessness, not only of your actions but of everyone's actions, sometimes make our day-to-day worries, our jobs, everything seem pointless. And the assumption that everything may be pointless is what more than anything usually fills us up with dread. We can no longer hide our existential worries in some god like we did as a species centuries ago. No, the best we can do is to occupy our minds so much during our daily routine with anything from games to work to pleasure that we have no time to think about how futile everything is. It is a consequence of our consciousness that we simply cannot let go of. And because of how terrifying and, well, human this fear is, it is incredibly hard to approach it successfully in art. But in the early 80s, a band was able to paint a picture of this dilemma, albeit a very disturbing one. It reflects about fears that we feel intrinsically as humans, and plummets into the depths of hell and back to provide us with a very hard yet remarkable experience. That band was The Cure, and in this video we're going to talk about their 1982 album. Okay, so I wanted to say the name of the album, but YouTube really frowns upon this type of words. It's just that it might not recommend this video to anyone if I say this word, and what I want the most is for people to watch this content. So I won't say the word, but you know what this word is, in spite of it being censored on screen. So that's it. Back to the video. This album is the very definition of an existential crisis. In all of its 8 tracks, it's very hard to find a moment that even seems remotely happy. It didn't help that this album was recorded during one of the worst moments in the band's career. They were drowning in alcohol and drugs. Robert Smith, the band's vocalist and guitarist, regarding the recording sessions, has stated, "I had 2 choices at the time, which were either completely giving in, by which he means committing suicide, or making a record of it and getting it out of me. At the time, I lost every friend I had, everyone without exception, because I was incredibly obnoxious, appalling, and self-centered." This album was the outcome of it all being poured out. This was not exclusive to Smith, however, since, according to the bassist Simon Gallup, the band had been entirely engulfed by nihilism, and you can feel it on the record. It is bleak. From beginning to end, Smith's guitars are swimming in reverb, and its dissonance is present throughout the entire experience. The drumming is almost tribal, with very few cymbal hits, and the keyboards present us with a grandiose aura. All of this creating a very dramatic atmosphere. Yet, the element that takes this record to the next level, in terms of how disturbing it is the lyrics. I've heard this record countless of times, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this video, and I can tell you it gets really bad. Practically all of the songs deal with death, and how life itself does not have any attainable meaning. For crying out loud, the first sentence of the record is, "It doesn't matter if we all die." Songs like A Short-Term Effect and A Strange Day discuss how fleeting life is, and how it goes by in a blink of an eye. And songs like The Figurehead, wait, no, we're not going to The Figurehead, we're not ready for it yet. God. This album is absolutely demonic, and that is clear right from the beginning, with its first song, 100 Years. Its main theme is dealing with your own mortality and failing to overcome it. Like many of the songs that follow, it starts off as a monologue evaluating the meaninglessness of one's life and wishing for something better, only half-jokingly since you know it's not going to happen. The narrator fears coming close to people, because in a couple of seconds, someone you love can disappear from this world. As if to exemplify this, the lyrics change from a monologue to a story format midway through the song, about a girl who just lost her father and is coming to terms with how someone so important, so meaningful, the reason she exists, is just a piece of meat in a clean room, another corpse in the morgue. 100 Years is followed by a short-term effect. This is a very dissonant song, even by the standards of this record, and like previously stated, its main focus is in how everything goes by in a moment and just disintegrates in no time. Bliss is but a short-term effect. Life itself is in this category. Just like the bird in the beginning of the song, we live and we die, and it goes quick. 1 minute you're a young child, next thing you know you're an adult with responsibilities, then suddenly you're an old man, having lived countless days without substance, yearning for the times where you could see the colors that flicker in the water. This record's only single, The Hanging Garden, comes next. The song seems a bit more abstract than its title would suggest. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with death itself, but instead it talks about the wasting of an individual's life. In this song, there is a stark contrast between the day and the night. During the night you're able to fly until you reach the Hanging Garden, where you're engulfed in all of this adventurous, surreal imagery, touching the moon alongside shapeless creatures, dreamlike in its essence. Yet, when the night turns to day, you return to the real world full of commitments and responsibilities by falling out of the garden into a terrain surrounded by walls that you try to jump over desperately to no avail, while the animals in your garden, representing your dreams, die. We then arrive at Siamese Twins. In my interpretation, this song is masterfully written, and it represents the different stages of a relationship from its conception until it grows stale and empty. In the first part, we have the initial part of the relationship, where the couple are madly in love with each other. These are the moments that become engraved in their minds: the flesh, the first kiss, the colors. The narrator reminisces of those times, where everything seemed more brighter and he felt more alive, when both of them were like Siamese twins. But then, everything falls apart, and he is left broken inside. The very presence of her consumes him and restrains him. He just wants to be left alone, and eventually, in spirit, he walks away for the rest of his life. No communication, no happiness. She's nothing until they die. And then we arrive at the figurehead. The guitar tones are just so demonic. This song is horrifying. Like, seriously, sometimes I wonder, you're telling me that this guy,
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday, I'm in love.
wrote this? It's like if you told me that Paul fucking McCartney wrote Giles Corey. God, I mean, I need a minute. Okay. Let's do this. This song is about depression. Like, we've had until now portions of this record that were bleak as all hell, but the Figurehead is the worst so far. Like many other songs, it's filled with surreal imagery. Spiders inside figurines. But there is a new level of detail and self-loathing. The emphasis in the lack of sleep and how it affects you. The total lack of self-worth. Feeling like you're a freshly crushed fly, that you mean nothing. The despair and feelings of impurity. It's bad, is what I'm trying to say. You know, guys, I've been in a few tough spots myself throughout my life. With things not going so well for a while, with me being a slave to my own low self-esteem. And I can feel the hatred held within this song, and sort of understand it. And it makes me find this truly beautiful. It's really dark though, so please only listen to it, and this whole record by the way, if you're not feeling bad. A Strange Day is the most straightforward song in terms of melody. Nothing like its predecessor. It compares life to a strange day that goes by in a blink of an eye, describing with little control we have over it. How the majority of us are just drifting in the wind. We cherish the faces that fly by us, never to return, before we end up alone again. The surreal nature of our lives is symbolized by the walls in the sky and the impossible being torn apart, after which everything is gone forever. We then come to the 7th track of the record, The Cold. The keyboards in this song give us an almost dreamlike quality, and a very dramatic appeal sound-wise. This is a heartbreaking description of how it is to lose someone who's very important and very close to you. Someone whose name was inscribed in your heart and soul. And as you look at their grave, your eyes are still, and you can't seem to move them, as if they are frozen. At the same time, all you can feel is the numbness and the cold. And finally, we arrive at the end of the record with the title track. The voices in the background, I say background, but at times you can hear them more clearly than Robert Smith's own vocals, make this song a very unordinary experience. The long intro is complete chaos, with dissonant guitars, the voices, a very twisted sonic escapade. Robert Smith's voice is lost within the chaos, almost as a metaphor for the meaninglessness of having conceived this record. The song's lyrics revive around the death of an old man, treating it as a slaughter. According to Robert Smith himself, this man is his previous self that he killed so that he could be a new person, fighting his sickness, the depression, finding a cure so that he could be happy again. And on that note, the album ends. This record is very hard to stomach from front to back. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it tackles a lot of topics that are hard to deal with. In my worst days, I can almost agree with what most of this record's songs say. Like, why even bother? But that approach is not entirely correct. It is true that life doesn't seem to have any sort of meaning at times. But that's only because of our own perspective. Yes, our existence is not important in the grand scheme of things. But that does not mean it isn't important on its own for yourself and for the people that care for you. The meaning in your life can be given to you by yourself alone. And that's why I find what Robert Smith said about the album's ending to be so wonderful. Because it shows that you can start over, you can reinvent yourself, and you can find meaning in your existence. And then, you might even feel happier than your ancestors centuries ago, because your meaning will be yours alone. It will depend on no one, and it will be unique. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more related content. This is Joe Fiki Fiki, signing out of another video. Goodbye.